Hey, welcome to Early Access Control Alpha, Beta, and Abandoned. We are taking a look at Kings and Heroes by Industry Games. Now, this is a game that I've had in my library for a while. I played it quite a bit on my personal account, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I was championing for its development. I was really kind of following along, and some unfortunate news dropped last week to the point where it's going to be shut down on June 30th. Now, most of the community member were kind of they weren't in a great place with this game, and I'll give you a little backstory about what's going on. I should first say this is normally when I'll show you the quality of the game. I'll show you whether or not it's a working product, and we determine whether it's abandoned or not. I'm not going to even bother doing that to Kings and Heroes right now. I'm just going to talk about it because it's irrelevant, and a lot of people won't even get the chance to see it other than what's online already. So back to the community, they're kind of sitting in a state where, you know what, they knew this was going to happen. They're bitter. I can understand why. And there's a lot of kind of resentment towards industry games. And you know what, for a little bit, I mulled over the similar feelings because it's been a long time since their last update. I think like definitely over a year. They did maintain some communication on their Discord up until like late this year, where it really kind of like tapered off to the point where I was gearing up to make a video about this going abandoned, like I did my other ones. And we just recently had the message of the news drop last week about this is going to be shut down. So it is for sure going to be abandoned, but it's not going to be for sale anymore either. Now, the backstory about Industry Games, they started this game, and it's a really unique take on, character creation. It's got like, it's non-tab target, it's skill-based, the combat was really fun. The crafting, the looting, I really, really enjoyed a lot of it. And it started off pretty well, I think, to the point where little people, they did some world changes where it wasn't a true open world. It was kind of loaded, and they made some changes and made an open world. And I don't think it ever really kind of picked back up speed from that point on. And I don't really know why. I was enjoying it. And so basically, Industry Games, obviously they were probably affected by it, monetarily wise, where their assets couldn't be placed in development for this game anymore, because Industry Games isn't just like a one-time dev. I think a few of those people are veterans from the industry, and so they kind of know what's going on. So the allocation of whatever money they had from Kings and Heroes probably was exhausted. And so they did what a lot of other development companies do. They have their game in early access, but then they supplement it, or they attempt to, by starting another project. And now I know the Kings and Heroes community was a little bit upset about it or annoyed by it, because I was as well. And so what they decided to do was create Zeus's Battleground. So we're not going to look at that game either. It's going to be pulled off development as well. It was like a melee based game where you're playing as a demigod, I think, and it's a battleground. So that tried to catch on to the Battlegrounds craze, and I don't think it ever met its expectations that Industry Games had for it. And unfortunately, you're kind of left with the point where two projects now are not meeting the requirements that they need financially to keep the company working on them. And I know a lot of people don't really like to think about this kind of thing, because they think of, well, I gave you my money, I'm entitled to this, or I deserve this from you. You're right to a certain point, but you got to remember, like, these people that are trying to do right by you and by whoever else brought the first product, it's not their choice that they're just trying to make money and they're just trying to like grab money. They just don't have money, and a lot of people really need to grasp that, because if you want an update done for Kings and Heroes, I mean, they're the ones that are paying all their bills, and they're kind of getting the idea of like how much money and how their talent or their people and they're within the company can be utilized, and they have it all laid out, and they'll have it pre-planned on how long they can keep their development of this game going. And if those numbers don't jive in the long run, they've got to make changes. And if they're not getting funded for their initial game in early access, they've got to find a different way. or it's just basically they stop working on it completely. And that happens a lot as well, right? Because people look at it and say, oh, okay, well, we've got X amount of costs, but only X amount of revenue, and we can't keep going. And people, it's frustrating as it is being an early access community member who loves supporting these games. I've learned over the years of me purchasing these games and backing them that you really need to consider it from the development company studio, like from the studio side of things. And it really kind of makes you feel a little bit better once you start to really kind of determine or understand how it actually works. The things that drive me nuts is when a company has these financial problems and then they walk away and they don't tell anybody anything. Those are the games that I'm trying to change the aspect of those. So those are my targets. That's the thing that really burns my gears, because the only thing that we're truly entitled to when it comes to early access on Steam especially is communication. That's really our only dollar that's the only thing we're actually entitled to. And us community members, really, we got to remember that. And so when a company communicates that they've got to stop working on their one project in order to try to make money and so they start a second project, if they're still maintaining the communication that this is what's happening, I find it extremely hard to fault them in that, even though I hate it and I don't like it, and I want to be playing the game that I paid for. It's the way it goes. And you can only hope that when this happens enough times to good development companies like indie companies like Industry Games, that other companies that are looking at this model, looking at early access, heed the warning signs of what can happen, right? Because if it's all about just putting a game out on Steam, and there's plenty of them there that just, hey, look, I got a half-finished game on Steam, and they walk away from it. I mean, these people, there's a line that's drawn between these companies that are on the one side who don't give a shit, and the other side who are actually professionals trying to survive. There's a distinct line, and it's our job to kind of like investigate that line and, really kind of determine where this game fits. And if it's on the wrong side of the line, then you need to use a little bit more discretion when you're making your purchase. And if it's on the right side of the line, you've got to use a little bit more compassion and understanding when something like this happens. Yeah, I can't really say it any better than that. And I really wish that there was, something positive to come out of this in terms of Kings and Heroes. But the one thing is, hopefully Industry Games is going to survive this little thing, because I was a fan of this product, and maybe there'll be another game down the lines that will actually work out a little bit better. But as it stands right now, we've got to say goodbye to Kings and Heroes and Zeus's Battlegrounds, and good luck on Industry Games. I know a lot of people might not see it from my side of the story, or my version. So I'd really like to hear some comments regarding this, because one thing about early access community members is they're extremely passionate about gaming, and I would love any sort of exchange regarding anything that I've said, or anybody else's insight that I didn't mention at all. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and I'll be making more regarding some more videos. So take care. Bye-bye.